Welcome to Twists of Life, where every story has an unexpected turn. Stories of joy and sorrow, hope and redemption, just like the life we all live. Make yourself comfortable. It's time to begin. Buddy, what are you mumbling about under your breath? Homeric laughter roared at the table. Matt, flushing, shot out of the room like an arrow. How could his mother be so shameless? She knew perfectly well how much he hated these family gatherings. He needed to study, and eating wouldn't hurt either, not to mention updating his wardrobe. Before only his classmates made fun of him. Now even the teachers gave him unkind looks. Yesterday, for instance, Ms. Peterson had remarked acidly, "Matt, don't you have any other trousers? These are practically transparent, like gauze." And what was he supposed to say? That he really didn't? He handled these trousers with such care that he was afraid to breathe, knowing they could split at the seams at any moment. He felt like not going to school at all. Matt often skipped classes anyway, especially when his mother's kitchen was filled with smoke until morning. How could he study then? He only fell asleep towards morning, no matter how hard he tried, and couldn't wake up on time. There was no alarm clock in the house. There was only an old wall clock, but it was completely silent. Matt stood in the middle of the room. What should he do now? He was unbearably hungry, but he wouldn't go to the kitchen. If there had been anything there, it would have been eaten long ago. He waved his hand and headed outside. He'd walk around. Maybe they'd be gone by the time he returned. Judging by the state of the guests, they'd been sitting for a long time. He wandered around the town but didn't meet anyone suitable. His stomach wasn't just rumbling anymore. It was literally screaming with hunger. Sitting down on a bench, he plucked a leaf from a tree and chewed it. A man sat down beside him, seemingly lost in thought. He was decently dressed, but you could still sense it. He was someone who had been inside. "Don't worry, if it's because of me. I was actually about to leave. We can certainly fit here together." The man sat down, took out cigarettes, and offered one to Matt. "Want one?" "No, thank you. I don't smoke." "Good for you. At your age, I see everyone smoking non-stop, and it's very harmful." Matt smirked. "Then why do you?" The man laughed. Well, I understand. I even know it's better without them, but I don't have the resolve to quit. But I want to assure you, it's my only bad habit. Honestly." Matt definitely liked this man, and then the man suddenly turned to him. "Listen, I just arrived in town recently. Could you tell me where I can get a good meal?" The guy involuntarily swallowed. "Right around the corner. There's a shashlik place. They serve everything there, basically. But shashlik is their main dish." "Oh, shashlik is excellent. How about you join me? I don't like eating alone." Matt hesitated. "I don't know. It's settled. Let's go. You can tell me about the changes in town while I was away." They sat down at a table, and Matt inhaled. Lord, what aromas! The man looked at him, closed the menu, and turned to the waiter. "2 shashliks for us, some kind of fresh vegetable salad. Tea for the young man, coffee for me. We'll figure out the rest later." The waiter disappeared. Matt even turned around to see where he went. "My name is Mr. Harrison. And yours?" "I'm Matt." Their order arrived, and the conversation somehow started right away. "So tell me, Matt, why do you have sad eyes, and why are you walking alone? At your age, you should have friends around." Matt stopped chewing. "I don't have any friends. Who needs someone like me? Poor, always broke. I don't do well in school either, so there's no one around." Mr. Harrison asked questions so skillfully that Matt didn't even notice how he told him everything. How they used to live, how his father died at work, how his mother started drinking after that and bringing home just anyone, how they teased him at school, how hard his life was in general. Do you pity yourself, Matt? He looked at Mr. Harrison in surprise. He was strange. Why should I be happy? Anyone would howl like a wolf with a life like this. And he's just a teenager. What can he do? I see you pity yourself. May I ask how old you are? 15. Wow. At 15, I already bought my mom gold earrings for her birthday. Ah, those were the times. No time for sleep. You'd run home from school, grab something on the go, and head outside. So many opportunities out there. Wash someone's car, run to the store for someone, or even load and unload. I earned more in a week than my mom did in a month as a cleaner. And in the evening, when no one was outside, we'd train. We had our own gym in the basement. Well, not like the ones you have now, of course, but homemade. Barbells from car wheels, pull-up bars from rebar. But we were happy. We always wore tank tops, so everyone could see how built we were. Mr. Harrison smiled at the memories, then looked at him sternly. And you just do poorly in school, look bad, and cry about it. You're wrong, brother. Oh, so wrong. Matt stared at the man, his mouth literally hanging open, and he was right. Absolutely right. What was stopping Matt from doing the same? Nothing. Just the habit of feeling sorry for himself. Matt, I don't have time right now, but jot down your address for me. I'll drop by and we'll talk more. Matt wrote the address on a napkin and stood up. Thank you. You're welcome. We'll see each other again. Remember one thing, Matt. You can only not get out of a coffin. Everything else can be fixed, survived, changed. I understand. Matt walked home with a firm intention to kick everyone out who was there. However, he didn't have to kick anyone out. No one was home. His mother had gone somewhere too. He sighed with relief. Good. At least he'd get some sleep. The next day after school, he didn't go straight home. He decided to walk around town. Almost immediately, he saw furniture being unloaded near a building, new residents apparently. He wanted to walk past, but then he risked it. Owner, need any help with the unloading? A guy around 50 looked him over. Well, it wouldn't hurt. How much will you charge? Whatever you give is fine. All right, it's a deal. We'll get it up to the 3rd floor. Matt helped carry things for almost an hour. It could have ended sooner, but a sofa got stuck in the doorway, and they couldn't take it apart right away. When the sofa was finally in the apartment, the owner handed him a 1,000-ruble note. Thank you. I would have struggled here until night by myself. Oh, that's too much. It's fine. You need it more. Matt wanted to be offended. The guy was clearly hinting at his clothes, but then decided to let it go. At least he had money in his hands, and a decent amount too. Matt looked at his watch. He still had time. He almost ran to the small shop near their yard. There were many such shops with the strange name Second lately. He knew the clothes weren't new, but he didn't care. At least they were decent. Matt opened the apartment door, fully expecting his mother to be having another party. But the house was quiet. Matt was even more surprised when he smelled not tobacco smoke, but the aroma of something edible. He cautiously stepped into the kitchen. His mother was washing the window, and something was bubbling in a pot on the stove. By the way, the stove was clean too. Mom? She turned around. Matt, I didn't hear you come in. I'll feed you now. Matt stood there, bewildered, then asked just as bewilderedly, What's going on? Nothing. I just decided to finally tidy up. I've been completely... Don't worry, buddy. I won't do it anymore. I promised your friend. Friend? Matt stopped understanding anything at all. Mom, what friend? Well, a very serious man. Matt saw a flicker of fear in his mother's eyes, but it disappeared immediately. Here, Matt, he left this for you. She handed him an envelope and a wad of cash. And I didn't take anything. Absolutely nothing. Matt stared at the money, bewildered, then sat down on a chair. He looked at the envelope for a long time, but finally opened it. Matt, it turned out I had to leave urgently. I talked to your mom. I think she won't drink anymore. But a lot will depend on you, too. I saw in your eyes that you understood where I came from. Yes, I forgot to tell you the most important thing. In our lives, it's important to forgive. In our lives, it's important to stop in time, so it doesn't turn out like it did for me. Money is addictive and deprives you of reason. And a person must have reason. But the most important thing is the ability to admit your mistakes and correct them. Never try to pretend that something doesn't concern you. If you can fix it, if everything depends on you, then definitely try to fix everything. I couldn't back then. I didn't push hard enough back then. I lost my temper, and then I didn't change, didn't fix things, even though I had the opportunity. Now I'm alone, completely alone. It's hard to be lonely. When everything settles down, we'll meet. I promise. Don't be angry at your mom. She just needed support. I didn't give her mine because I was young and weak myself. I believe in you. I saw your eyes, and I'm sure you'll handle everything. Matt lowered the letter and looked at the money. Wow. Mom, what did he say? Oh, nothing special. He just said he'd definitely stop by when he could. 3 years passed. Few would recognize the downtrodden, skinny kid who greedily devoured shashlik in the cafe as Matt. A muscular, handsome guy sat on a bench among other guys like him. He lazily moved a matchstick from one corner of his mouth to the other. So, have you decided? Do we need to punish him? Anyone against it? Yes, but Matt. But you know no one will be against it. Then tonight by the restaurant. Okay, see you tonight. Matt watched the guys, who walked away quickly, and smiled contentedly. For almost a year now, they had been playing Robin Hood, specifically punishing those who considered themselves the golden youth. And not just randomly, but always for a reason. Yesterday, an incident happened at the restaurant where they liked to gather. The restaurant owner was a good acquaintance of theirs. He was the one who told them that cool boys had been frequenting his establishment. Well, cool. They were nothing special themselves, but for some reason, they tried to buy power and respect with their parents' money. Although no, rather fear and submission. And very often they succeeded. The restaurant owner himself couldn't put them in their place. He would simply be shut down the next day because it would be foolish to butt heads with their parents. So he turned to Matt. Last night, these thugs decided to pick on a young waitress. Matt had seen this girl a couple of times. Pretty, fragile, with huge sad eyes. She only worked evening shifts, meaning she studied during the day. Or maybe she had other things going on. As luck would have it, yesterday they were training according to their schedule. 3 times a week they went to a vacant lot and sparred there. There were no people there, and if anyone wandered in, they hurried to get away as quickly as possible because the fights there were serious. So yesterday, while they were there, 2 of the Golden Youth Company decided to make Anna their whipping girl. It started with one of them spilling a glass of juice on the floor. Hey, come here. Anna came over immediately. Need to wipe this up quickly. I'll call the cleaner now. What did we tell you? Wipe it up quickly. Anna could barely hold back her tears. That's not part of my duties. She turned to leave, but one of the guys blocked her way. Stop. We're not done yet. I'm the customer. The customer is always right, isn't that so? Tears were already streaming down Anna's cheeks. Yes, so you have to do what I say, right? Go on, wipe it up. I don't have anything to do it with. Alice came over to them. She had been working here for a couple of months and knew perfectly well that arguing with this crowd was useless. She was the one who had brought Anna here. What happened? Girls, do you want to keep working here? Alice looked at the guys, not understanding. If your friend doesn't do what we tell her, then tomorrow neither of you will be working here. But Anna pushed Alice aside, took off her snow-white apron, and wiped up the juice with it. There, as you wanted. She walked away, accompanied by the guys' laughter, and right away in the back room, she felt sick. Anna had a real breakdown. She even sank to the floor. Alice helped her up. Look, you go home. I'll finish up here myself. How? What if the owner finds out? He won't find out. We won't tell him anything. But it didn't work out. The two guys from the company got so drunk that, not thinking anymore, they demanded Anna, waved money in front of Alice, asking how much that girl would take for a night with the two of them. Alice tried her best to contain the conflict, but in the end, the guys just started trashing the restaurant. They had to call the owner. He arrived quickly, and the police came right after him. The company was taken away, but released right around the corner. Alice saw it clearly. She was just lowering the blinds on the windows. The owner was waiting inside. Well, tell me what happened here. Alice started, then other waitstaff picked up. The owner listened to everything and said, You understand that Anna will have to quit. Alice stared at him in surprise. But why? She didn't do anything wrong. I understand, Alice, but they won't give her peace anyway. But she absolutely can't quit. If Anna doesn't earn money, you know her mother is bedridden. I know, but what do you suggest? One of the waiters looked at everyone, then said, We just need to tell Matt. These guys are completely out of line. No, are you crazy? And what does that have to do with you? Who will guess it was you? Alice also turned to the restaurant owner. Mr. Davies, but you're fair. But what is this? What are you suggesting? Losing my business? You understand perfectly well. It's easiest for me to fire Anna. No problem. No need to solve it. The staff dispersed gloomily. Alice was quietly crying as she cleaned the hall. The owner came up to her. Don't cry. I have an idea. But I'm not sure it's the right one. And on one hand, I myself want people to come to our restaurant to relax, not get into such messes. On the other hand, I could ruin everything at once and only harm your Anna more. I understand, Mr. Davies. Alice truly understood him. Mr. Davies, although a businessman, was actually an understanding person. So Mr. Davies turned to Matt. Word travels fast, and many knew what they were doing. Only no one knew exactly what. Many knew there were such bandit Robin Hoods, were a little afraid, but couldn't connect the sporty guys with bandits in any way. Matt and his comrades, or accomplices, you could call them whatever you liked, settled at a corner table. There was no alcohol on the table. The whole team adhered to a healthy lifestyle. Anna was serving their table. Matt was twisting a colored wire in his hands. Lately, he had become so engrossed in weaving with it that he always carried a few pieces with him. They talked quietly, discussing the latest boxing match that had recently taken place in their town. Matt lazily watched the girl. She was so pretty, completely naive, pure, beautiful. You could see in her eyes that life hadn't particularly pleased her. Anna quickly scurried between tables, smiled at visitors, and they involuntarily smiled back. Suddenly the girl turned around at a beckoning gesture. Yesterday's company stumbled into the restaurant. One of them immediately moved towards her. It was a plump young man, very pale and flabby. His eyes attracted particular attention, Whitish, watery. Hey, come here. Anna backed away. The guy laughed. Don't be scared. I won't touch you for free. Only for money. You're coming with me tonight. Matt was instantly between them. Eddie, what brings you here? The guy looked at him in surprise. I'm not Eddie. He wanted to go around Matt, but Matt didn't let him. How can you not be Eddie? Don't you remember? You borrowed a very large sum of money from me. Listen, get lost. I'm not Eddie. The guy scanned the room with his eyes, but Anna was already gone. I don't understand why you, Eddie, say you didn't take the money. You did. Just get lost. The guy turned around and went back to his company. Matt also returned to his seat. Well, what's up? I'd say an hour, no more. This one's pretty drunk, too. Less than an hour later, the same guy separated from the group and walked, swaying, through the hall. Two more followed him. They were clearly looking for Anna. One of the guys saw Alice. Oh, you sheep! Where's your friend? Alice turned away, for which she immediately received a kick. Well, now it's time. Matt lost sight of the guy with the transparent eyes. He covered the distance to the back room in 2 jumps, and just in time. The guy, covering Anna's mouth with his hand, was trying to press her against him. Matt knocked him out with 1 punch. Then, everything happened very quickly. The company was dropped, literally, dropped onto the street. Of course, the advantage was on the side of Matt and his guys. Very soon, the Golden Youth Company was pinned against the wall of the building. Well, Eddie, are you going to pay the debt? I'm not Eddie. You're mistaken. And anyway, pray, my dad will grind you to dust. I don't doubt it. Half an hour later, everyone agreed that the guy's name was Eddie. Everyone pooled everything they had on them to pay off the mythical debt. The sum was substantial, but Matt sighed. Not enough. Okay, you'll pay the rest next time. You understand you shouldn't show your face to me again, right? Otherwise, I'll start the meter, and I won't be so kind anymore. I understand. Steve was the son of a well-known man in town. Moreover, his own sister had married the police chief's son last year. He wanted only one thing, to get to his dad, and then this handsome guy would be finished. He understood perfectly well that the money had nothing to do with it. This guy wanted something else. And when Matt said that getting close to Anna was death for them, Steve understood everything. You should warn a guy that she's your woman. Who? Is she? And who are you? Eddie, whose debt grows every day. All right. Well, now for the finale. Drop your pants. The company stared at Matt in fright. He smiled gently. Don't be scared. A photo for memory, so you keep your tongues behind your teeth. Otherwise, our little newspapers, oh, they're so fond of photos like these. 6 months later, Matt had to leave town. Law enforcement agencies had become very interested in their activities. His mother cried. Matt, why do you need all this? You should get a job. Mom, stop it. Everything's fine. I left you money. I'll be back in a few months, and everything will be just like before. Mrs. Miller sat on the sofa, wiping away tears. The traces of her past drinking had long disappeared from her face. The woman was unrecognizable now, well-groomed, with makeup. She was 40 but looked only 35. Mom, have you thought about getting married again? Mrs. Miller laughed through her tears. What are you saying? What kind of bride would I be? Mom, that's not true. Look how beautiful you are. Stop it. Let me help you get ready. Matt and 2 others from his company left. They decided to head to the capital. There were more opportunities there. None of them thought about the possibility of getting caught or even going to jail for shaking down rich people. Only romance was in their heads. and romance cannot exist without money. Things were going well for the guys in the capital. True, one of them got married almost immediately and left the business, but Matt wasn't offended. It was right. Everyone should live the way they want. They quickly formed a new team, and life went on. Another 6 months passed, and Matt learned that Uncle Steve, the very one who caused the problems, had been removed from his post as police chief, and that meant he could finally visit his mother. Matt drove slowly through the town streets. Nothing seemed to have changed, but everything felt so unfamiliar. He hadn't been here long, but it felt nice. He stopped by the house, looked at the windows. He hadn't warned his mother he was coming, deciding to surprise her. He went up to his floor, took the keys from his pocket, but then changed his mind and pressed the doorbell. The door opened almost immediately. Matt! His mother threw her arms around his neck. He looked at her, unable to understand what was different. Then he realized his mother's eyes were shining, and he wasn't the only reason for the sparkle. Matt immediately noticed men's boots and a coat. "Mom, I see you've had some changes in your personal life." His mother flushed. "Matt, you were gone, and I was all alone." "Mom, stop it. Why are you making excuses? I'm just happy for you. Will you introduce me?" His mother didn't have time to answer. Behind Matt, a voice was heard, one that was already so familiar. The guy turned sharply. Mr. Harrison stood in front of him. He spread his arms. "Well, something like that. I came to visit you, but it seems I'm staying forever." He looked at Natalie, and Matt saw how the man's gaze changed. Damn, unexpected. "But what can I say? I'm glad it's you." They finally hugged. The day flew by unnoticed. His mother set the table. Matt noticed that the room had been renovated, and the bathroom was currently being renovated. Alex said, "You should have warned us. I would have hurried with the renovation. It feels a bit awkward now." "And you did all this yourself?" "Of course. I'm a builder by trade. Life just twisted and threw me in not always the right direction later on. Now I have some money, and I've run around enough. I want to open my own renovation company. Natalie and I will work together and live happily." "I didn't think you had studied." "How else? What kind of self-education did I get?" Matt looked at him, not understanding. "Well, I'm busy." Mr. Harrison shook his head. "You're busy now, while you're young, while everything's okay with you. But when you want to settle down, get married, you can't live like this anymore." "Why?" "I have plenty of money." "But what about a wife, children? You understand you'll be very vulnerable." Matt hadn't thought about this before. So what did that mean? The way he was living wasn't forever? And a person like Mr. Harrison was telling him this. To be honest, Matt was a little confused. At first, this man had told him completely different things. Mr. Harrison seemed to understand what Matt was thinking. "You know what I got a hefty sentence for?" "What?" "When you live like you do, and I lived pretty much the same way, you feel untouchable. Your head is foggy. It seems like the whole world is at your feet, that you can do anything, and nothing will happen to you for it. Once, in some skirmish, I just miscalculated. A person, even if not entirely good, is gone, and I threw away almost a decade of my life. Don't repeat my mistakes. As soon as you feel you're capable of something more, quit." Matt was in a slight trance. How could this be? He thought he was living the right way, even more right and better than many. And now it turned out that this wasn't it either. Studying. By the way, he often thought about studying, but he considered it somehow not cool. "Mom, I'm going to sit in a bar." "Kiddo, moms know everything. Don't drink too much, don't get into fights, Don't meet bad girls. Mrs. Miller laughed. Well, you know it all yourself. Matt's feet automatically led him to that very restaurant. He sat down at a table, hoping in his heart that Anna would come over. But Alice came. She took his order, but returned after 5 minutes. Is that you, Matt? He smiled. Exactly. Where's your friend, Anna? Alice sighed. She doesn't work here anymore. And Alice waved her hand. I don't understand. Did something happen? Then, after everything that happened, that nasty guy started coming here often. He just wouldn't leave Anna alone, showered her with gifts, flowers. I don't know what happened to her. We all think big money went to her head. Anyway, she quit. They got married not long ago. But love is blind. What love? Now she's hanging out in one bar with her so-called friends, then another. Her photos are in the local newspapers every morning. The girl has completely gone off the rails. I don't understand anything. Are you sure you're talking about Anna? Exactly. We're all in shock too. We still think that Steve just forced her. Now she's just breaking loose. She was such a good girl. And where? What bars does she hang out in? Her favorite is here, around the corner. It's called Nightbird, but she might change bars a couple of times in an evening. Okay, keep the money. I'm going for a walk, and you eat the order yourselves. It's fine. Matt went outside. What the hell? Anna in clubs? Anna got married? Of course, he didn't know what was going on inside her, but eyes couldn't lie. He went into the bar. It hadn't been here a year ago. Inside, everything was modern, almost like in the Capitol. Lots of people, mostly young. The fun was in full swing. There was some commotion near the stage. Matt looked closer. Some girl was trying to get to the pole. Finally, she succeeded. The girl was already quite drunk, and when she turned around, he recognized Anna with surprise. Matt was on the stage in 2 jumps, scooped her up, and simply carried her out of the bar. He shoved Anna into a taxi standing nearby. Who are you? She stared at him with hazy eyes, then hiccuped. It can't be. Robin Hood himself. What brings you to our province? She spoke in such a mocking tone that Matt wanted to hit her. He didn't say anything, just turned to the driver. We need some strong coffee. Anna immediately shrieked. No coffee, only whiskey. The taxi driver stopped at a cafe open late. Matt sat the girl down at a table and ordered 2 coffees. Anna drank in small sips and looked everywhere but at him. He spoke first. What's going on with you? What? Anna finally looked up at him, and then Matt saw how much pain and longing were in them. And also, he noticed a very skillfully concealed bruise under her eye. Okay, what's this? What? A bruise? What's it to you? You live your life and live it. Why are you interfering? Why did you even come here? There weren't many people, but everyone turned around because Anna was almost shouting. Anna, let's go for a walk. Matt took her arm and led her towards the park. Anna didn't resist. She leaned against him, and the guy felt her heart beating. He didn't understand what was happening at all and desperately wanted to figure it out. Of course, he was nobody to her, but maybe she needed help. They reached the river, and Anna sat down right on the grass. The spot was very quiet, surrounded by acacia trees. She shivered. Matt took off his light jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Then he sat down beside her. They sat in silence for a while. Then Matt tried to speak. Anna, She turned to him sharply, silently, and covered his mouth with a kiss. They came to when the sky was already getting light. Anna jumped up and started dressing quickly. Anna, don't say anything, just be quiet. But she looked at him in such a way that he understood. It was better to be silent. Anna was a goddess. If before he had only suspected it, now he was convinced. But there was one but that he couldn't digest. Anna, when she wasn't herself, in the heat of passion, kept repeating, "I love you." Now he couldn't understand whether these words were directed at him or not. Although she called him by name, so they must have been. Matt jumped up, but Anna was already gone. Out of the corner of his ear, he heard her calling a taxi somewhere behind the acacia bushes. He quickly got dressed and caught up with her at the park exit. "Anna, wait! We need to talk!" "No!" "Anna, what do you mean, no? Wait!" He tugged at her arm. Anna stopped, then brought her face close to him. "Go to hell. I don't want to see you, understand? Never in my life. Get away from me." He saw the tears in her eyes, saw that the girl was on the verge of a breakdown. He just raised his hands, and she ran away. A minute later, a car door slammed. Matt clutched his head. What was going on? She shouldn't have left. He knew for sure that Anna couldn't love that jerk Steve. Was it all because of money? No, he wouldn't leave it like this. He would definitely find a way to talk to her. Matt headed home, cautiously went into his room, and collapsed into sleep. For the next 3 days, he methodically scoured the bars. Anna didn't appear. Then he found out the address where she lived with her husband and went there. Of course, he wouldn't go in, but he would definitely wait for her. He sat on a bench just so he could see the entrance. He twisted a piece of wire in his hands. He always did that when he needed to calm his nerves. He had almost finished weaving something that looked like a pendant and stared at his creation in surprise. He had never made anything so beautiful before. "What are you doing here?" He jumped up. Anna was standing in front of him. "Anna, we need to talk. I told you everything. You don't need to come to me. I'm married. I'll live with my husband. Anna, you don't love him. So what? What difference does it make who loves whom? What? Are you with him because of money? Yes, and that's none of your business. Consider that there was never anything between us. And don't come to me. But I don't want to, and you don't want to. I know. You're unhappy, Anna. Leave everything, let's go away. No one will ever find us. You'll be happy, and you'll make me happy. No. Why? It has to be this way. Go away." She glanced at his hand, took the woven pendant. "It's beautiful. Can I keep it as a souvenir?" He nodded and saw her eyes. There was so much pain in them. "Forgive me, Matt. Forgive me." She quickly pressed her lips to his. "Go. It's better if you leave today, and just leave. I don't want to see you anymore." She walked quickly towards the house, and Matt stood and watched her go. So, it was money after all. How wrong he was about her. He came home and started packing his things into a bag. Natalie came into his room. "Buddy, are you leaving already?" He turned around, trying to smile as naturally as possible. "Yes, Mom, it's time. Lots of things to do, and I want to look into studying. Alex, your husband, is right. You can't catch butterflies your whole life." Mrs. Miller sat on the edge of the bed. "When should I expect you back now?" "Mom, honestly, I don't know. Not soon for sure, but you can always come visit me. I have my own apartment, small as it is, but cozy." When Matt returned to Moscow, his friend Bill looked at him in surprise. "What's up? What's wrong with you? You're kind of strange. Is everything okay at home?" "Yeah, everything's fine at home. Listen, Bill, got anything to drink?" Bill raised his eyebrows. "You don't drink." "I don't, but I really want to now." Bill silently placed a bottle of cognac, 2 low glasses, a lemon, and chocolate in front of him. Just as silently, he poured, and they drank. Okay, Matt, now tell me. Nothing to tell. He started reluctantly, but by the end of the bottle, he had poured out everything. Bill looked at him thoughtfully. Something's not right here. I thought so too. Like she's afraid of him. He beats her and all that. But I offered. I offered to protect her. To leave. You should have heard how indignantly she lectured me. As if it wasn't her who was with me until morning, hot as lava. All right, don't freak out. Some time will pass, and you'll look at all this from the outside. Matt sighed. You're right, and I understand that. It takes time. By the way, I have an idea. Bill leaned forward. Now this is interesting. Bill, do you have money? What kind of question is that? How much do you need? I don't need any. How do you feel about opening some kind of agency? Security services, but not for warehouses, for example, but protecting specific people, helping resolve disputes. Something legal, like starting a business. Uh-huh. I think it's time we stop playing cops and robbers. And you know what? I like it. I haven't told you, but I recently met a girl. She's so... Anyway, I increasingly feel like I want to marry her and have children with her. Bill, congratulations. Yeah, thanks, of course. But you see, she works as a music teacher in an orphanage, and I can't even imagine how she'll react to my past hobby. Olivia? She's so ethereal, gentle, soulful. Sometimes I look at her and realize I'm afraid to be apart from her even for an hour. I feel like something bad will definitely happen to her. Bill, you're a romantic. I never expected that from you. You know how I always felt about love. This was true. Of their whole company, Bill was the only one who hated marriage and family. Maybe because in his life he had 9 dads, and each one tried to contribute to his upbringing. Until Bill grew up, got strong on their vacant lot, and beat up the last stepfather, for which he almost went to jail. True, one conversation from their company was enough for that guy to withdraw the statement. And now Bill was talking about his Olivia, and his eyes were just sparkling. 7 years passed since then. Matt sat in his office. Their agency's office was in a beautiful new building, almost in the center of the capital. Not everything came easily to them. They had to resort to extreme measures a few times, but they succeeded. Now Matt was a very eligible bachelor. If he appeared at some reception or party, all the eligible women in the city knew about it and were already there. Bill, his friend and deputy, was already a father of 2 charming twins. 2 girls, as alike as 2 drops of water and very much like their mother. Matt was their godfather, and truth be told, he loved them as his own. The girls, though only 4 years old, felt this perfectly and took full advantage. Not long ago, there was an incident they still laughed about, and Olivia would just smile and say, "They're like children, honestly. I'll see you when you spoil them completely." Then I'll bring them to you, Matt. Okay, I agree. Otherwise it's too quiet in my castle, and annoyingly perfectly tidy. It happened about 3 months ago. Mary and Marina had done something naughty at home. Generally, the girls weren't overly active or curious. This time, their mother's patience ran out. Apparently, they had cut their mother's dresses because they heard their dad tell their mom that all her dresses hid her beautiful legs. Of course, Bill found it funny, but Olivia was seriously angry. That's it. Stay in your room. No cartoons. And most importantly, no ice cream. This was a blow below the belt, because the twins would give anything for ice cream. They tried to appeal to their father for justice, but Bill was immediately banished to work by their angry mother. There was nothing to do but cry. But then Marina had a brilliant idea. They decided to steal their mother's phone and call their godfather. Any child knew how to use a phone, and finding their godfather by photo was easy. Mary watched their mother, and Marina crawled almost on her belly to steal the phone. They immediately locked themselves in their room and called Matt. He was in a meeting, which, by the way, Bill was also attending. When Matt saw who was calling, he looked at Bill in surprise but answered. A real shriek started in the receiver. The girls explained in turns that their mother had been unfair. She had promised ice cream and now wouldn't give it to them. In short, the meeting was hastily concluded. Matt told Bill to follow him. They stopped at the nearest store, where Matt bought a whole large bag of ice cream. And on the way to Bill's house, he told him everything. The girls shrieked and hugged Uncle Matt. Bill hid behind him, stifling laughter, while Olivia looked bewildered at all this mischief. True, she warned that one more such trick, and she would deprive his goddaughters of ice cream for a year. He looked out the window. Before him lay the city where they had started from the bottom. There were many like them here, and everyone fought for their place in the sun. Now he was a respected man. His eagles guarded everyone, escorted every kind of object. His selection process was strict. Everyone passed physical standards. Everyone worked with a psychologist. By the way, Dr. Evans, the psychologist, was a young lady, but very, very accomplished. She practiced not only for him, but also for other firms. Matt knew she dreamed of her own office, if not a clinic, then at least a consulting room. He knew she was saving money for it. From time to time, they met alone. They were comfortable together. Not only was Dr. Evans an excellent specialist, she was also beautiful and had a fiery temperament. Neither of them thought about tying their lives together. Both worked and were married to their careers. "Mr. Miller, may I come in?" Nancy, his secretary, peeked into the office. He had literally saved this girl from death. Once, she had tried to jump off a bridge after her boyfriend left her. It was such a complicated story. Nancy had the misfortune of running into a gigolo. She lived alone in an apartment inherited from her parents, who had died young. So he pulled a love scam, leaving Nancy without her apartment and without means of subsistence. Matt was just returning from some party. It was late at night when he saw her. He literally caught her by the hair and collar and pulled her back. A couple of times she hit him with her fists, screaming for him to let her go. They found the bad boy, got Nancy's apartment back, and then hired her. And Nancy didn't let him down. It seemed she remembered and knew absolutely everything. Matt couldn't understand how all that information didn't get mixed up in her head. "Of course, Nancy, come in." Nancy had visibly blossomed in the 6 months she had worked for them. She was only 20, but she looked like she was 18. "Mr. Miller, they've brought everything you ordered. The guard put everything in the car. He has the keys. Thank you, Nancy." He saw that the girl was hesitating, apparently wanting to say something else, and didn't seem to know how. "Nancy, something else?" She tossed her hair. "Yes, Mr. Miller. You've done so much for me. I don't know what would have happened to me if it weren't for you and Bill Johnson. This is getting interesting. You're not thinking of quitting, are you? I'm against it." "No, of course not." Then she handed him something. Matt took a firm cardboard square in his hands. A wedding invitation. "Well, I'll be." He opened the invitation. Victor and Nancy. Victor, he was one of their young programmers. "And when did you find the time?" He smiled at the girl, and she spoke with bitterness. "You absolutely must be there. You're closer to me than any family." "Nancy, quiet, quiet. Of course, I'll be there." The girl stumbled over her words, then looked at him incredulously. "Really? Well, of course, Nancy." Suddenly, she rushed to him and hugged him. "Thank you." She quickly darted out the door. That was the last they saw of her. Matt smirked. Well, Nancy was getting married. Only he was constantly alone. His mother would scold him again. Yes, Mr. Harrison had joined her. The last time they came to visit, He hinted at children just as persistently as his mother. When they went outside to barbecue, Matt said to him, offended, "Well, I didn't expect this from you of all people." "No, Matt, you're wrong. You know I don't have children of my own. You're like a son to me. You understand I can only play with your children. And anyway, it's time for you to get married." Matt clutched his head. Mr. Harrison laughed. He hadn't been home for almost 7 years. Only they came to visit him. But Matt just couldn't bring himself to go. And just yesterday, he woke up in the middle of the night and realized he wanted to wander the streets of his hometown, walk along the embankment, stop by Mr. Davies's restaurant. The decision came immediately. He would go visit his mother for a week. How long could he dwell on that one night? How long could he remember how wrong he was about a person? An hour later, Matt was getting into his car. He took out his phone. "Mom, hi. How are things with you?" "Hi, buddy. Everything's good. How are you doing?" "I just got in the car. I'll be there by night." "By night? Where?" "At your place, Mom. Where else?" Silence fell on the other end of the line. Then his mother shrieked, "Alex, Matt's coming. Get ready. To the store. Buddy, you can't imagine how happy I am. How happy we are. Just be careful, okay?" "Okay, Mom. I'll be very careful. And you don't need to go to the store. I'm bringing everything. A whole trunk full." "Buddy, what are you saying? We're waiting for you so much." The whole way he pushed away memories, but they kept crowding into his head. Matt even got angry. So many years had passed, he thought everything had burned out. But no. He kept remembering Anna again and again. Damn, damn, damn. Then he started imagining that she and that Steve had 3 children, that they were happy. It didn't work out very well. Then he started thinking that Anna had become an alcoholic. It got even worse. In the end, he resigned himself and just remembered what had been between them. He wondered what she was like now. Where? What? Of course, he wouldn't ask about anything, wouldn't find out anything from anyone. It was too late for everything. He should have done it earlier. If he hadn't been so young back then, he certainly wouldn't have left. He was sure that Anna loved him, but something or someone stood between them. That reason was stronger than love. The town appeared in the distance. Matt smiled. He was almost home. By habit, he turned onto his street, but caught himself in time. His mother and Alex had bought a good big house in the center 3 years ago. Not without his help, which he was very proud of. True, houses here cost ridiculous money, but they also paid ridiculously low wages. So his mother and Alex saved from their small business. He was a little offended at them. "Couldn't you have told me? Wouldn't I have bought you a house?" His mother waved her hands. "What are you saying, Matt? You help us so much already." That's when his mother spoke to him for the first time about the topic they both never mentioned. "Forgive me, buddy. Now I remember what I did with horror. It was like it wasn't me. Someone else. I'm so ashamed. So hurt for you. Mom, that's all in the past. Everything's settled. Everything's good. Good is good. But if it weren't for you, for Alex, I don't know if I could have gotten out of it. Mom, tell me the secret. What did he tell you back then? You looked scared, and then bam, you're together. I thought he had scared you. You could say that. He said he would take you away since I didn't need you. But before that, he skillfully beat up my friends. And I got scared. I hadn't paid attention to you somehow. If you were around, that was enough. But then something clicked in my brain. I looked at myself in the mirror, looked at our apartment, and almost went crazy from what I saw. Well, and then you know everything yourself." The only thing that weighed on Matt throughout his life was this particular episode. He was very afraid to find out that Alex had once hurt his mother, maybe even hit her. After the conversation, he breathed freely. There was no reason for him to be offended at Alex. And besides, he had never seen his mother so happy before. At home, a set table awaited him. Of course, he had no doubt that his mother wouldn't listen to him. So much food was prepared that you could easily feed a whole company of soldiers. "Mom? Why so much?" "Eat, eat. You've gotten so thin there in your capital. You need to get married so your wife can look after your diet." Mr. Harrison smirked. Matt did too. He looked like a young boar, to be honest. Plus the gym, and his physique was very impressive. But his mother knew best. Thin. So thin. As long as she didn't get stuck on her favorite topic again. So Matt hurried to ask, "What's new with you? Have you seen anyone from our old crowd?" "I don't even know. Just 3 days ago, I ran into Pete. Remember Pete with the glasses?" "Of course I remember. We always copied tests from him. The straight-A student loser." "That's just it. He's a loser. He got married 2 years ago. A good girl. Not from around here. They had a strong love. Her parents were against it, but they got married anyway. She got so sick. The doctors aren't giving any guarantees. He told me, drunk, 'Aunt Natalie, I never drank. But now I can't. I just can't.' I feel sorry for him. To go crazy like that. And what's she sick with? Oh, he named it. But it's such a complicated name that I forgot it right away. I need to go see him. Maybe I can help somehow." "Go see him, Matt. At least support him. Most people have moved away. But listen, I met Bill's mother yesterday. You should tell him to come visit her." "Mom, you know he won't come." "He has to, Matt. She has cancer. Barely alive. All transparent. Of course no one is around. Who needs a sick old woman?" "What's going on?" "Only bad news. I'll call him today." "Why?" "There's good news too. Remember Nina? Our neighbor from the first floor. The round one with freckles. Well, she's not round anymore, just a little plumpness left. She got married too." "How? She was just a kid." "You're kidding. When you left, she was 13. "No way." "Yeah. But that's not the main thing. Her husband is a good guy, a simple guy, very polite, and just 2 days ago, they became parents. And you won't believe it, she gave birth to triplets." Matt looked at his mother. "Are you serious? She's so short." His mother laughed. "Exactly. 3 girls. And Nina really is only about a meter tall. Her mother is so lucky. Now she has 3 granddaughters at once." Matt sensed danger again. "Okay, Mom. Let's go out into the yard. I hope you'll show me your domain." His mother smiled, immediately understanding that her son was changing the subject. Well, it was fine. He said he was staying for a week. She would certainly introduce him to all her friends' daughters. They inspected the entire yard. Alex showed him the gazebo, the trees they had planted. "You're real feudal lords." Natalie laughed. "You wouldn't believe how I always dreamed of exactly this kind of house. All right, tomorrow we'll grill meat outside." Matt imagined how it would all be inside. Looks like I've landed in paradise. He slept that night as if he had never slept before. His mother woke him up almost at noon. "Get up, sleepyhead. You'll sleep the whole day away." Matt stretched. "What time is it?" "It's already 12. He sat up in bed. "It can't be. I'm waiting for you in the kitchen." He got up, reached for his phone. He hadn't called Bill yesterday. It was too late. "Hello, hi." "Great. Missing me already?" "Well, not exactly. I have something important." Bill tensed up. "Did something happen?" "Well, you could say so. My mom met yours the other day." "Matt, why are you telling me this? You know I don't care at all." "Hold on. Don't get heated. Your mom has cancer, and she's completely alone. Mom says she looks very bad already." There was silence on the line. Then Bill asked, "How will the firm manage without us for a few days?" "It'll be fine. Everything's set up. Nancy will call if anything happens." "Yes, if you need anything, leave instructions. What papers are needed?" "Okay. Thanks, Matt. Call me when you arrive." "Okay." Bill arrived in town after lunch. He called Matt right away. "Can you come with me? I feel kind of alone." "Of course. I'll be right there. Where are you?" "I'm at Mr. Davies's restaurant." Matt drove over. Bill's car was empty. Probably inside. Bill was indeed inside. He was sitting at a table with Semyon and sipping coffee. Mr. Davies immediately jumped up. "Matt, I don't recognize you. I didn't recognize you at all at first. Oh, I wouldn't have recognized you for anything." They hugged. Matt's heart even ached. Everything here felt so familiar, so many memories. He immediately remembered Anna. Anna again. Lately, she just hadn't left his mind. Half an hour later, they were approaching Bill's house. He was visibly nervous. Matt asked, "What are you planning to do?" "Olivia is already getting a room ready. Her father has a good friend who runs a clinic that specializes in these illnesses. She'll rest for a day and then go there immediately." "You decided to take your mother?" "I can't do otherwise, Bill. I'm proud to have a friend like you." "Stop it. Let's go." He pressed the doorbell. No one opened for a long time. Then shuffling steps were heard. The door opened, and Matt was taken aback. A hunched old woman stood before them, and Bill's mother was only a few years older than his own mother. She raised her head, looked at them for a long time. "Mom!" And then she cried. "Billy, my son, why didn't you call? Mom!" He hugged his mother. She wrapped her two thin, childlike arms around him and couldn't stop crying. "Bill! Billy! Forgive me!" "Get ready, Mom." "Where to?" "Where else? To my place? To us. Olivia is waiting for you there, and two little girls, Mary and Marina." "Oh my God, I'll be quick." The woman seemed to gain strength. She walked quickly, putting things in a bag. But Matt saw the effort dripping down her face. It was very hard for her. It seemed she was hurrying so her son wouldn't change his mind. After seeing Bill off, Matt decided to take a walk. He didn't even notice how he ended up in the very place where he and Anna had once been. His heart ached. Why? Why did he have the misfortune to fall in love with a girl who turned out to be just trash? He sat down on the grass. Someone stopped next to him. Matt didn't turn around. He wanted to be alone, and he sincerely hoped this person would leave. But the person not only didn't leave, but also sniffled very loudly. Matt turned around irritably and was slightly stunned. A girl about 6 years old stood behind him. She was tear-stained and poorly dressed. But that wasn't what caught his attention. The child held a small colored pendant in her hands. Exactly the same one Anna had taken from him once. "Hey, are you lost?" The girl sniffled and nodded. "And where's your mom?" "Mommy was taken to the hospital, and I went to look for her." "And where's your dad?" "I don't know. I've never seen him. But Mommy said if Daddy was here, everything would be okay for us." Matt's palms became sweaty. "Sweetheart, what's your mom's name?" "Anna." "And did your mom say what your dad's name is?" "Yes, Matt. Only Mommy said he's not in our town. I wanted to go to another town, but they wouldn't let me and even wanted to give me to the police. I ran away." The girl sniffled and looked at him. "And who are you?" He couldn't answer. He suddenly remembered something, and his hair stood on end. About 3 years ago, they had just moved into the new office. The guard called him. "Mr. Miller, there's a girl here who wants to see you with a child. She says the child is yours. Matt had rolled his eyes then. How annoying these brides were. He was tired of doing DNA tests, and everywhere it turned out, they were just trying to trick him. This time, he didn't even bother to investigate. Get her out of here, and don't let her in again. How could she be so brazen? Others at least did it quietly, but she showed up and told everyone that nonsense. Could it have been Anna? Did he turn her away then? Are you hungry? Very. Let's go to my place. My mom is there. She cooks very well. Are you telling the truth? Yes. Okay, let's go then. The girl put the pendant in her pocket and fastened the snap. Matt couldn't stand it. What is that you have? My daddy made it when I wasn't born yet, and Mommy didn't know I would be. They walked up to the car. Is this yours? Mine. I like it. It's very beautiful. Settling comfortably, the girl held out her hand to him. My name is Katie, and I'm Matt. He said it without thinking, but the girl immediately quieted down and looked at him strangely. When they stopped, she couldn't hold back. Are you my daddy? I don't know, Katie. You'll tell us everything. I'll go see your mom, and then we'll find out everything together. Agreed? Yes. I also thought I'd go to Aunt Olivia's, but no one's home there. I knocked and knocked. I thought I'd go later in the evening, but then you were there. Let's go. He gently picked her up and set her down on the path. Katie looked around. Is this your house? This is my mom's house. It's beautiful. Mrs. Miller came out to meet them, looked at Matt in surprise, then stared at the girl. Matt saw his mother's eyes widen. Matt, who is this? Mom, I'll explain everything soon. But for now we have a problem. Katie is very hungry. Natalie immediately bustled about. Come, sweetheart, come. We'll have lunch now. She led the girl away, and Matt rushed to the car. There were cigarettes somewhere in the glove compartment. He saw someone he knew had forgotten them. Here they were. He lit one, coughed, and someone immediately took the cigarette from him. Why are you doing that? Mr. Harrison stood beside him. He looked at Matt thoughtfully. Did you notice how much the child looks like Natalie? Matt almost hit himself on the forehead. Of course. And he had been wondering the whole way what was bothering him so much. And I was wondering who it was. It's a very long story. First, we need to ask the girl and find out where her mother is. They all sat opposite Katie, who was heartily eating mashed potatoes and a cutlet. Mommy made cutlets for me too, a long time ago. Then we didn't have money, and we just ate mashed potatoes. Natalie glanced at Matt, then turned to Katie. Honey, where's your mom now? Mommy was taken to the hospital. She was walking. We were walking home, and Mommy got sick. She fell down. The neighbors called an ambulance, and Mommy, when they were taking her away, kept whispering, "Find Daddy, find Daddy," and she didn't open her eyes. Aunt Lucy wanted to take me in, but she has Polly. He fights, and I ran away. First I cried, then I got hungry and went to Aunt Olivia's. She always feeds me because Mommy is often sick and can't always cook. But she wasn't home. I went to the park. We often sit there with Mommy. And that uncle was there in our spot. Matt was ready to kick himself. He stood up. Mom, come outside with me. Natalie immediately stood up and followed her son out. Mom, I understand that everything needs to be checked, but everything points to Katie being my daughter. I already understood that, Matt. I just didn't understand. You didn't know anything about her? No, Mom. But how could you think I would hide something like that from you? I need to leave. Find Alice. Then the hospital where Anna. Her name is Anna. Yes. Okay, buddy. Go. I'll manage. They returned to the room. Katie had moved to the sofa and was engrossed in watching TV. She was yawning desperately, but the cartoons were interesting too. Natalie immediately took a blanket, put a pillow under the girl's head. "Lie down. It'll be more comfortable to watch." Katie lay down. Natalie covered the girl. She immediately closed her eyes, only managing to whisper, "I need to find Daddy." Matt rushed out of the house. He needed to go to the restaurant. Of course, a lot of time had passed, but maybe Alice's address was still there. Mr. Davies was surprised by the request, of course, but strangely enough, he found the address quickly. "I'm just not sure if she still lives there, but the main thing is, it's something." Matt pressed the doorbell, praying for just one thing, that Alice still lived here. The door opened, and he exhaled. "Hello, good evening. Are you looking for me?" She peered at the guest's face and then suddenly whistled. "It can't be. Mr. Matt himself. What brings you here?" "Alice, you have to tell me everything about Anna. Why suddenly?" Alice looked at him with an indifferent gaze, and Matt realized she knew about Anna's visit to him. "Because Katie, her daughter, and as I understand it, mine too, is at our house right now. And Anna is in the hospital, and I don't quite understand what's happening." "In the hospital?" "Yes. Katie came to you, but no one was home. We were at the Dacha. Anna felt fine yesterday. I didn't think... Damn it. Okay, come in." She stepped back, and Matt went where she indicated. "Tea? No, tell me." Alice sat down opposite him and looked him in the eyes. "Frankly, I should just tell you to get lost. But if anyone can help them now, it's only you. Back then, many years ago, Anna was studying. Her mother was very ill. She could barely walk. She needed an operation that cost a lot of money even then. Or rather, the operation itself was free, but she had to go to another city, live there, undergo rehabilitation. They didn't have money for all of that. Anna took the waitress job because all the money went to supportive medications. After that scandal, that same Steve started frequenting the restaurant. He literally stalked Anna, and then he offered her a deal. He would pay for her mother's operation, and Anna would marry him. And if Anna tried to divorce him, she would have to repay him the entire sum." Matt clenched his fists. What an idiot he was. He should have guessed right away that something was wrong. But no, he played the wounded party, ran away like a shy maiden. Alice continued. "Anna hated him terribly. He knew it. Sometimes he beat her. And then you. She rushed to you like a drowning person. She always said that there was only one night in her life when she was happy. And Steve? He kept giving her empty promises. As it turned out, after his uncle was kicked out of the police, there was no one to cover for his dad, and things went sharply downhill. Steve simply had no money. A year later, Anna's mother passed away. She never got the operation. Then Anna started packing her things. Katie was only a month old then. But he couldn't just let her go. He beat her badly. I took Katie then, and Steve was jailed. There was no longer any protection, and no one wanted to stand up for him just like that because he was a worthless person. That time, he damaged something in her head. Anna had an operation, but the doctors gave no prognosis. But she pulled through. She spent almost 6 months in the hospital. Then she couldn't work. She had terrible headaches. She endured it for a long time, and when she lost consciousness right on a pedestrian crossing, she went to you. You were a big shot by then. She didn't want anything from you, only a promise. If something happened to her, if she wasn't around, you wouldn't abandon Katie. But you turned her away. I didn't know it was Anna. I understand you didn't know. Sitting high, seeing far, but not seeing what's under your nose. Oh, well, what's the point now? Anyway, We don't know where Steve is now. We were afraid he'd come back and finish her off. But he's not here. Maybe he got killed himself. Anna was evicted from their apartment. It was auctioned off. She returned to the apartment where she lived with her mother. Well, as you understand, life was very hard for her. The payment was meager. No way to work. Sometimes she went to clean for neighbors, or by ad, but she couldn't do much. She got very tired. That's basically it. Katie? Yes, she told me about you. I was against it then, but Anna is stubborn. Matt sat in silence, and all of this could have been avoided if he hadn't acted that way. And what hospital could she have been taken to? You're kidding, as if you haven't lived here for 20 years. We only have 3, children's, adult, and the maternity hospital. Listen, I didn't even think of that. Thank you. For the story, and for Anna, and for Katie. I won't forget it. He rushed out of the apartment, started the car immediately. To the hospital now, and then figure out the rest. They wouldn't let him pass the reception. Young man, have you looked at the time? What visits? He looked at his watch. 8 in the evening. Damn. How had time passed so quickly? Well, can I at least call a doctor? I beg you. They called a doctor for him. Tell me, please, Anna. She was brought in from the street today. How is she? Does she need anything? And who are you to her? I'm an acquaintance, a former boyfriend. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I have to help her. We have a child together. Interesting. An acquaintance, a child together? Young man, you haven't been drinking, have you? I haven't been drinking. I haven't been in town for 7 years, and I didn't know we had a child. The doctor looked at him carefully, took out a pack of cigarettes. Let's go outside. You can't see her anyway. She's in intensive care. In intensive care? Is it that serious? You bet. She really doesn't care about herself. She's been told for a long time she needs an operation. There's a growth that formed after the blow, and it's pressing. But aren't we all waiting for a miracle? Why can't it be done now? I beg you, I'm an ENT, and I'm loaded with all the positions here. There's no one to work, no specialists. Okay. When can she be transferred? That I can't tell you. She waited too long. It's unknown if she'll wake up this time. Matt looked at the doctor. No, not this. He had just found Anna, Katie, and now he was going to lose her right away? I'll figure something out. I'll bring doctors. From where? From Geneva? From the capital? The doctor smiled grimly. Exactly from there. Everyone will be here tomorrow. Are you joking? No, I'm not joking. So tell me right away what else is needed. The doctor took out a notepad, wrote something. Matt took it. The first line was lamps. I don't understand. We have only 1 lamp left in the operating room. You can remove an appendix in that light, but certainly not dig around in someone's head. I understand. Everything will be here. Matt jumped into the car. He drove home, calling Bill on the way. Hi, how are things with you? Hi, actually not bad. You know, Mom liked Olivia and the granddaughters so much that they didn't want to let her go to the hospital. But now she's there, and the doctor said things are bad, but not completely critical. There are chances, even if small. Mom says her life is just beginning, so she'll fight. I believe her. How about you? Bill, help me. I need a team of surgeons to come here. You won't believe it, but I have a daughter, and her mother is between life and death right now. And they can't do anything to help her here. The operation is complicated, on the brain. Bill whistled. Wow, news. I'll try to figure something out. I'll ask my father-in-law. Bill, all my hope is in you. I told you, I'll do everything I can. A daughter? And how old is she? She's 6. 6-something. Her name is Katie. Well, brother, you're something. Keep your phone close. As soon as I find something out, I'll call you. Thank you. Thank you. You should have come to see your mother a long time ago. Matt put down the phone. While he was talking, he had stopped, and now he saw he was standing near the only shopping center in town. A guy came out of the doors, proudly carrying a large plush bear. Matt leaped out of the car and rushed inside. 20 minutes later, he came out with a large bag of clothes for Katie and a box. And in the box was a very beautiful doll with blue hair and a whole suitcase of dresses. He found his family in the kitchen. Katie was heartily eating pancakes that Natalie had made. But at the same time, the girl managed to argue with Mr. Harrison. They were talking about butterflies or birds, in short, about those who fly. Buddy, what's that you have? Matt glanced at Katie and smiled. Apparently, his mother had just bathed her. The girl was sparkling clean, dressed in Alex's shirt, the sleeves rolled up, and you couldn't even see her in that shirt. Matt handed his mother the bag. There's a pajama, some dresses. I don't really know. I told them the age and said I needed everything for the first little while. Natalie peeked into the bag, then turned to Katie. Well, princess, shall we go try on your new clothes? Katie clapped her hands. And there and for you. Let's go. Half an hour later, a flushed Katie returned in new pajamas with bunnies, slippers with pom-poms, and a robe. She came up to Matt. Thank you. He was flustered. You're welcome. I have something else. He held out a large box to her. The girl could barely hold it. Natalie rushed to her. Let me help you. She opened the box, and Katie gasped. The girl touched the doll's hair with her fingers, ran them over the beads on its neck. How beautiful she is. What will you name her? Anna. She's as beautiful as my mommy. Natalie looked at Matt, then back at Katie. Tears were rolling down the girl's cheeks. Fast, fast. Matt knelt beside her. But why are you crying? Don't you like the doll? I like it very much. It's just, you bought me so many things. It's so nice here, and Mommy is all alone there. She'll get better. Matt hugged her. Of course, she'll get better. Very good doctors will come from the city where I live. They'll do Mommy's operation, and everything will be fine. Mommy will never hurt again. Really? The girl looked at him incredulously, then hugged him around the neck. You know, I knew right away you were my daddy, because you have kind eyes, and Mommy said my daddy has the kindest eyes. Will you save Mommy? Mommy said when Daddy is here, everything will be okay. Natalie turned away, wiping tears, and Matt looked into the girl's eyes. I promise you, now everything will be okay. Well, shall we go dress up Anna? Let's go. Matt happily helped Katie dress the doll, even acting as a stylist when they chose which jacket would go with the white trousers. Then they settled on the sofa to watch cartoons, and they both fell asleep like that. Natalie covered them with a blanket and dimmed the light. Bill called at 4 a.m. They'll be here around 9. Meet them at the entrance to town so they don't get lost. Bill, I'm forever in your debt. Stop it. We're like brothers. No need to keep score of who owes what. All right, good luck there. Thank you. In the morning, Matt stood at the entrance to town. A black minivan stopped beside him. He waved to the driver and drove ahead. The operation began 2 hours later. He stayed in the corridor the whole time. A nurse tried to kick him out, but he looked at her in such a way that she didn't bother him anymore. While he sat, he thought about many things. Then he started studying the pictures on the wall. He walked around, then sat down again. There was some noise in the corridor. He turned his head. A woman was being wheeled on a gurney. brought in by ambulance apparently, and a guy with glasses was running beside her. "Susie, I'm here. Everything will be fine. Don't worry." The woman looked past him and didn't answer, and there was such detachment in her gaze that Matt felt uneasy. They didn't let Pete into the room. He sat on a chair in the corridor and buried his head in his hands. Matt had promised his mother he would stop by, but he got so caught up. He went over and sat down next to him. "Hey, Pete." He looked up and stared at Matt. He couldn't seem to figure out who was in front of him. Then he smiled weakly. "Matt, is that you? What's wrong with your wife?" Pete waved his hand. "Don't ask. 3 diagnoses in the last 6 months. They say we need to go to a big city where there's equipment, where there are doctors." "Well, why aren't you going?" "Because you need money to go. I work 2 shifts, and the money— Oh, don't ask. I can't stand to watch my Susie fading away, and I can't do anything. So I don't understand. It all comes down to money?" "It does." "Do you have a card?" "A card? Well, a bank card." "Why?" "I need it." "Give it here." Pete obediently took out his card, and Matt took out his phone. He transferred a large sum to Pete's card. And in his pocket, he bent his phone. Pete looked at the SMS, then at Matt. "What are you doing? We can't pay you back." "It's nothing. You'll pay me back in the next life. Leave tomorrow. Here's the address. It's my house. I'll warn the housekeeper that you'll stay with us while the examination is done. Although your wife will probably be admitted. Well, it's okay. You can live alone." Matt stood up. Pete also jumped up. He was pale, stuttering, and couldn't start talking. "Matt, I'll work it off. I'll pay everything back. Thank you." "You're welcome." Matt looked at him thoughtfully. "You know, money is nothing compared to the life of a loved one." He walked away and sat back down on the chair next to the operating room. He closed his eyes. Maybe he even dozed off, because when the door opened, he jumped up abruptly, not fully understanding where he was. The doctor who had come from the capital approached him. "Well, the girl was born lucky. 1 more day, and the operation wouldn't have helped. But everything went well as it can for someone with a hole in their head." The doctor laughed at his own joke. "Well, shall I go see your other patients? While I'm feeling good and cheerful." They immediately led him to where Susie, Pete's wife, had recently been taken. You know, it's a completely baffling case. The doctor Matt had spoken to yesterday came up to him. "Yes, so many years in medicine, and I still continue to be amazed at what a person is capable of. And not just the patient. And a doctor can never replace the human element in a robot, because everyone is different. You can come tomorrow after lunch. I'll let you in for 5 minutes. Doctors, everything's fine. Go rest." Matt went home and immediately sat down on the doorstep. It turned out he was so tired, and he hadn't even noticed it. He raised his head. His mother, Katie, and Mr. Harrison were looking at him. One question was in everyone's eyes. "Everything's fine. It was successful. You can visit for 5 minutes tomorrow." Katie shrieked and threw herself around his neck. He hugged her thin little body and only now realized that he was now fully responsible for this small, lively girl. In the morning, Katie was already dressed. "Where are you going so early?" "To Mommy. But they won't let us in until after lunch." "It's okay. I'll wait." Matt smiled. What could he say to her to make her change and play for a while? Nothing. So he said, "Well then, let's eat and go for a walk and then go see Mommy." "Yes, yes." Anna tossed restlessly. "Katie, where am I, Katie?" She opened her eyes. Everything was white. Hospital. So she had lost consciousness again. A nurse appeared beside her. How are you feeling? What's the date today? Words came out of her throat with great difficulty. The 21st. Oh, last memory is the 18th. Where is she? Katie. I need to go. I have a daughter. Lie still. You just had surgery yesterday. Where are you going? Surgery? Anna listened to herself. Exactly. There was a bandage on her head. But her head didn't hurt, only on top under the bandage. So, they were able to do it here after all? But they had sent her daughter somewhere. You're strange. Both your daughter and your husband are waiting in the corridor. Some people are lucky with husbands. He brought in doctors from the capital and saved another life just like that, you could say, just passing by. The nurse pursed her lips, and Anna froze. Husband? What husband? Doctors from the capital? Matt? No, it couldn't be. The door to the room burst open, and a cry filled it. Mommy! Anna felt a tear roll down her cheek. Sweetheart. Katie was dressed like she was on the cover of a fashion magazine. Anna looked at her in surprise, and the girl turned around several times. Do you like it? Daddy bought all this for me. Daddy. Hi, Anna. She turned her head slightly. Her hands were numb. Matt, quiet. You can scold me later. We only have 5 minutes. Katie is fine. We're staying at Mom's place. Don't worry. She likes eating with us. We'll come visit you every day. And forgive me. I was a complete fool. He said all this in one breath. Anna smiled faintly, and Katie immediately said loudly in her ear, Mommy, Daddy said everything will be okay for us now. Yes, sweetheart. If Daddy said so, it will be. Anna was discharged a month later. She had visibly improved. The paleness was gone. Anna had gained a little weight. No need to mention Katie. She was a completely different child. Matt couldn't even remember how lost and thin she had been in the park back then. Now he understood one thing. Children have about as much energy as a spaceship. It sometimes runs out, but it recharges in 5 minutes, and children only stop asking questions when they're asleep. He handed Anna flowers, opened the car door. To my parents' place now, and home tomorrow. Home? Yes, home to Moscow. Or is something keeping you here? Anna smiled, shook her head negatively. No, the most precious things to me are right here now. That's you and Katie. Matt didn't have time to answer. Someone was running towards them through the hospital park and shouting. Is that Pete? Did something happen to his wife? Matt! He couldn't catch his breath. What happened? What happened? My Susie is getting better. Matt, I wanted to thank you. Pete wanted to fall to his knees, but Matt caught him in time. What are you doing completely out of your mind? Live and be happy. Don't delay having children. Children are happiness. Pete wiped away tears and kept muttering words of gratitude. They got into the car. Well, shall we go meet your in-laws? Katie jumped up and down. Grandma baked a cake today. I helped too. Anna closed her eyes. What a happy fool she was. But happy. How many times had Alice told her to go see Matt's mother? But no, some foolish pride. Matt didn't need her. She had pushed him away herself. If only she had known how much could have been avoided. But on the other hand, there wouldn't be these moments of absolute, complete happiness now. Mommy! Yes, Katie? Does Daddy ever lie? No, of course not. Anna smiled. What happened? Nothing, Mommy, nothing. Daddy just promised me a little brother or sister soon. Anna coughed and Matt asked solicitously, Maybe some water? His face was so innocent that Anna couldn't help but laugh. While everyone was laughing, They didn't immediately hear Matt's phone ringing in his pocket. Hello. Yes, Nancy. What's wrong with your voice? What happened? Oh, of course I didn't forget. I just forgot when. I'll definitely be there the day after tomorrow. Only Nancy, I'm not alone. I have my wife and daughter with me. A wail or a shriek came from the receiver. Matt even had to move it away from his ear a little. Got it, by 2 o'clock. He hung up, looked at his girls. Well, is high society life beginning? The day after tomorrow we're going to a wedding. A very famous restaurant in Moscow. We'll have to leave early tomorrow. You need outfits too. You must always be the most beautiful ones. A year and a half passed. Nancy and Anna were sitting in the park. I don't feel well at all today. Nancy rubbed her lower back. And I've had aches all morning. Where did they go? I don't know. They went for ice cream, like they went across the ocean. By the time Matt and Victor returned, their wives were quite on edge. Nancy and Anna had become very good friends, and from time to time their husbands had to accompany them, very round to the park for a walk. It just so happened that their due dates were the same, and today both felt that their bad mood wouldn't just pass. Victor, why did it take so long? Honey, there was a big line. Anna looked at Matt. He was looking at how pale his wife had become, scared. What are you looking at? Take us to the hospital. Now the husbands turned pale. Matt asked cautiously, Why? Anna wanted to laugh, but a contraction made her gasp. Matt, don't ask stupid questions. If Matt thought he would never be as scared as when Anna had her operation, he was very wrong. When they got stuck in traffic, and Matt was in the back seat near Anna, he thought he would go gray. They arrived at the house like they were racing. Matt picked up his wife and ran to the emergency room. Victor followed suit. True, Nancy walked proudly by herself. 2 hours of tense fear. What if they were late? What if something went wrong? Then the door opened. To Matt, it seemed like the gates of heaven, and the nurse was a kind angel who said loudly, Well, daddies, you have strong boys, real heroes. Matt suddenly felt weak. He leaned against the car and almost cried. A son. He was the happiest man in the world. He had a smart, beautiful daughter, a smart, beautiful wife, and now a son. What else could he wish for from this life? For some reason, Mr. Harrison's words came to mind. The main thing is to at least try to fix what you can. And Matt had listened to his advice.